Hello, everyone. Good morning to you, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on whichever part of the world you are tuning in from. Happy Monday to you, as we're going to be starting the new week on a fresh new note. And thank you for staying tuned in. I had to sort out some technical issues in the last 30 minutes or so. But thank goodness that things are quite all right now. And I would really appreciate that I get some feedbacks in the comment section as regards to the quality of the audio visuals of this live session, as this will make me know that we are all on the same page. And at the same time, if there are any issues, let me know so that I can do the necessary adjustment to make our experience better out here. So, once again, we are all welcome, and I'm so excited to share with you the latest development as regards the price action based technical analysis on the assets we are going to be looking at for the new week. Well, during the course of the weekend, for those who are with me on my Trading View, Telegram, and of course on this YouTube platform, you definitely have gotten this outlook on what my expectations are looking like for this new week. So, for this week, we are going to be deliberating on three financial assets, which includes the GBPUSD, the XAUUSD, popularly known as the gold spot, and of course the USDJPY. And for those who don't know, I normally share this outlook during the course of the weekend in preparation for the new week, and it's always necessary that you watch those videos as it will give you a background knowledge of what we are going to be doing here. As what we focus mainly on the 1 hour time frame, which is our execution time frame. So if you do want to have a background knowledge of how we got to the points, to the levels, to the structures you will be seeing on the 1 hour time frame, then it is very, very important that you watch those videos. And if you haven't watched them, I have the link right in the description box of this current video you are watching, so you can click it, bookmark it, so that you can watch it after the end of the session, so that you can be on the same page with us here. For those who are joining us for the first time, you're highly welcome on board. I'm very, very excited to have you around with us. And what we simply do here is to come together as technical traders in anticipation of both the London and the New York session, where we come to review our existing positions if we do have any, and at the same time strategically position ourselves in such a way that we can capitalize on any potential trading opportunity during the London and the New York session. So this happens on a daily basis. So once again, you are highly welcome on board. So, in preparation for today's session, I have conducted, as usual, comprehensive price action analysis on all of these assets using simple parameters such as trend lines, key levels, and chart patterns to gain valuable insight into the historical price movement of these assets. And in fact, we have an interesting landscape in the financial environment at this moment. For instance, the US dollar, though we saw some little bit of risk averse sentiment in the market this morning, as we saw the dollar drop significantly. Well, so I'm still not yet in the know of what is really going on, but I know as the day goes by, we begin to have an insight into why that happened. But as at last week, we had this 3.2% increase in inflation data from 3.0. I think we had 3.0 last month. So the renewed surge in inflation data is likely going to be inciting some sentiment in favor of interest rate hike this month. And as a result of this, there are likely chance that majority will want to be buying the US dollar. But this morning we've seen some little bit of drawdown in the US dollar. So we want to be looking at how that is and how we are going to be reacting on that. Then the GBPUSD, the pound sterling, the economy isn't really doing well at this point in time, as we have what we call the labor sector isn't doing very well, and there is this general perspective that there is likely going to be another interest rate hike from the Bank of England this month. So let us look at how the market has been will be reacting to this anticipation, and of course let's have what's it called, look out for setups and patterns that we can be using to guide our trading decisions for today. Now, as usual, the first thing we are going to be doing is to check on the economic calendar. Of course, we all know how important that is. These fundamental factors often manifest on the charts in technical patterns and price movement. By monitoring the economic calendar, we can easily identify potential correlations between key economic releases and, of course, specific technical patterns on the chart, hereby giving us valuable information that will make us position ourselves in such a way that we can capitalize on any move prior, during, and even after the event. So normally we do focus on high impact events coming in from both the US, UK, and of course the Japanese economy. So let me bring this up quickly. I just saw here that okay, so I see your comment, Adeni Babalola. Thank you very much for your feedback. I really do appreciate that. Princess Abulokwe, good morning to you, and trust you had a wonderful weekend, and thank you very much for those feedbacks. So for today, there are no high impact event coming in from any of the economies that we are looking at, but what I did was to take a step further to include the medium impact event so that we can have an idea of what is really what majority in the market will be looking forward to. And after including the medium impact event, I have a couple of speeches here. One is the Bank of England's Peel speech. Peel is the Chief Economist and Executive Director of Monetary Analysis and Research of the Bank of England. So he had given a speech about an hour or two ago, which I'm yet to, I think as the day goes by, we'll get to have an highlight into what is said there. Then we also have another one here from another official of the Bank of England, that's Dr. Catherine Mann, who is the Monetary Policy Committee member of the Bank of England. So he's also going to be giving a speech much more later in the day. So we will be looking forward to what he will say there, as this will give us an insight into the monetary policy of the Bank of England, and of course give us an insight into the health of the economy of the United Kingdom. So with all this, these are all what we're looking out for today. So with that being said, let's dive right into the chart and let's look at things from a technical standpoint. So as usual, the first asset we are going to be taking on this morning, hold on a second. So the first asset we are going to be taking on this morning is going to be the GBPUSD. Obviously, that's the cable market, and in fact we have an interesting setup going on in the market right now. Before I go into the details here, I would like to run through my commentary this morning as regards to this current setup, as we want to see what we are going to be looking out for. And of course, for those who are with me on the TradingView and the Telegram platform, you definitely would have gotten an update in that regard. So let's see what I said here this morning as regards to this current setup. So I said here that a well-defined reversal pattern appears to have emerged, marked by a convincing breakout above the significant 1.25 level. This breakthrough hints at the potential for a bullish upswing given the absence of major economic event from either economies today, our guiding light will be the technical aspect of the market. Our focus is on identifying potential buying opportunities, of course, based on what we are seeing on this chart, as indicated on the chart, aligning with the emerging bullish sentiment in the market. Now, let's go back into the chart here and see what is really going on here. Now, the first thing you would observe here is that since the beginning of this month, price action has consistently found lower highs and lower lows in that regard. And in fact, if we take it a step further, connecting the series of lower highs, you can see that we have a beautiful descending trend line to that has been supporting that bearish momentum. And in fact, if we look at what happened this morning, it appears that price action has broken out of that descending trend line, which happens to be the first time price will be breaking out of that structure since this month began. And of course, this is a very significant signal that we cannot ignore at this point. And we all know that whenever price action breaks out of a trend line like this, there are chances that we could be anticipating a momentum shift. And when a breakout of structure happens like this, we expect that some point in time price is likely going to come back, retest that structure, where the appearance of buy pressure would incite an uptrend scenario. Now, besides this observation here is our key level at the 1.245. Now, for those who have not watched my video on the GBPUSD, I encourage you to watch that video, as you would have a background knowledge of how we were able to identify this key level. And in fact, this key level is going to be a major yardstick in guiding our trading activity for this week. And you know how we use our key level. As long as price remains above the key level, we continue to look out for patterns and structures that support the idea of buying that asset. The only condition that will make us want to be selling when we have a key level is for price to break down, probably retest the structure, then we can start considering selling. But at this point in time, price still remains above that key level. And another thing we want to look at here is after the impulsive move to the downside, as you will see, price tested the key level once. That was on Thursday. We saw price come back into the 1.25 area. Then you see here on Friday, price action was unable to even come close to that key level, let alone breaking down that structure. And for me, this is a clear sign that a bullish momentum is likely building up behind the scenes here. Now we saw price come back into the structure, and if you look at this closely, we have a beautiful reversal pattern in the form of a double bottom structure. And from a technical standpoint, when we have this, it's likely that price will continue to the upside. Now, immediately we identify such patterns, the next thing we do is to identify the neckline of the pattern, which falls exactly along the 1.2500 area. Now, we need that 1.250 level to be broken to validate that reversal pattern. And look at what has happened this morning. We finally have the breakout of both the descending trend line, which of course is broken for the first time, and of course the neckline too as well was broken simultaneously. And for me, this is a sign technically that buyers are gradually gaining some momentum here. So now the question going into today's session is, are we going to be seeing a retest of structure to incite an uptrend continuation? That is the question we are looking at now. And in fact, in the last 3 to 4 hours now, we've continued to see some selling pressure around that 1.253. Could this incite the retracement into structure to retest it? Let's hold on and see how the market would react to this zone. So at this point in time, let's wait and see what will happen here. So this is where my my focus is going to be for today's trading session. And in fact, we have a simple structure that we are going to be using right now. So most importantly, we have the zone right here between the 1.2500 area and the 1.24940 level, where we shall be looking out for buying opportunity if price action comes into that area. Now, there are chances that price will break down that level. It's very possible. Let's put that in mind. Remember, we have our descending trend line right here, which of course is going to be one of the major parameters we are going to be using to guide our decisions for today. So price is likely going to come either into this area whereby pressure will resume to insert an uptrend, or we might likely see a breakdown of the structure right into that trend line, maybe a sharp retest of that structure to now incite an uptrend continuation. So at this point in time, let's exercise patience and let's wait for our structures to mature. Now, for those who are taking advantage of this opportunity here, I know I got some comments in my DM that some of us bought around this area. It's okay if you had bought around that area, but let's ensure that we have enough room for price action to breed. And what I simply mean by that is that you want to have enough space for your stop loss so that it can curtail any choppy scenarios that could happen around this area. So if you are taking it around here, then you should be looking at a stop loss of about 37 pips thereabout, or maximum of 40 pips thereabout. Let's just give enough room, as we could have situations where price will come into this area, do a couple of consolidation phase in anticipation of the high impact event from the pounds from the United Kingdom during the course of the week to incite that uptrend move. So that is what we are looking at right now. So you can see this area here is an area to look out for buying opportunities. Now, there is one thing I would like to state here. Price might not get to that level. It's very possible. We want to be as dynamic as possible. Price might not get into this area at all. It might just climb and break out of the 1.253. If it does break out of the 1.253, then a retest of structure will be all we need to capitalize on the uptrend move. So that is why it's always good for us to capitalize on that, on any potential move early enough, so that we can feel comfortable in that position. That is why I envy all of us who bought around this area. I missed out on this opportunity because I was still fast asleep at that point in time. So these are my views here on the GBPUSD at this point. So we continue to look out for buying opportunity around this area since price has broken out of that descending trend line. Now, in as much as we're looking out for buying opportunity, we cannot ignore the potentials of sellers. And of course, what do we want to see here that will make us start considering selling? Well, I would rather want to see price drop back below that descending trend line. Let me highlight that again. So this is the descending trend line. So I would like to see price drop back below this descending trend line for me to start considering selling this asset at this point. So I would look at something like this, breakdown retest, before I can start considering selling. But if price remains above the zone, it's still very promising for buyers in this market. So let's see how the market will play out in the next couple of hours, and trust me, I will be with you in the comment section of both my trading view and Telegram platform to give you updates as at when due. So I don't know if you have any questions as regards to my illustration here, or you need me to do any further clarifications as regards to this current setup. If you have any, let me know right in the comment section. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions whatsoever before we move right into the next financial asset on our watch list. Hello, Richard Blackett. Good morning to you. Glad to have you around. Trust you had a wonderful weekend out there. Adeni Babala is asking that, can you explain a little on how you come about key levels and psychological levels for different pairs? Now, that is what I said earlier. I said if you do want to have a background knowledge of how we got to identify those key levels, I suggest that you watch the previous video, the video on the GBPUSD. I was able to talk about that. In fact, I do talk about that on every of my videos on how we identify these key levels. I don't want to go into that detail because of the time here, so that is why I said you should watch the video where I did a top-down analysis from the higher time frame. Of course, that was where we identified that key level, and that is why that's the level we'll be using to guide our trading activities for this week. So I encourage you to watch that video. The link is right in the description box below. Okay, Adedi Babalola. All right. All right, so in the absence of no other questions, I want to assume that we are all on the same page. So we shall be moving right into the next financial asset on our watch list. So the next financial asset on our watch list for this week is my favorite, and of course that's the XAUUSD, popularly known as the gold spot. And like I used to say, it's important you watch my videos prior to the session, as you will get to understand how we got to the levels you're seeing on the chart right now. So please do watch those videos. The links are right in the description box below. Our center of focus for the Forex Morning Mastery with Sheriff Daramola is basically going to be on the 1 hour time frame, unless I'm talking about peers that I never shared in public. So with that being said here, let's look at what is really going on the XAUUSD 1 hour time frame. And in fact, we have a setup here that looks exactly like what we have on the GBPUSD. And of course, for those who are with me on both my TradingView and Telegram platform, you definitely will have gotten that update. So I would like to run through what my commentary was as regards to how we are going to be positioning ourselves for today's trading session. So right here on my public platform, I made mention here that price continues to hold above our key level, which is situated at the 1,915 level, marking a robust start to the new trading week. The bulls have staged an impressive breakout above the 1,924 resistance, bringing us closer to the 1,930 zone. Our approach is to exercise patience and closely monitor how the price reacts upon reaching the 1,930 level. A successful breakout and retest of the zone could offer promising buying opportunities. Nonetheless, it is essential to remain vigilant, as there is a likelihood of price revisiting the 1,924 level before embarking on the upward trajectory. Now, let's go into the live chart to discuss this in detail. All right, so looking at the structure here on the 1 hour time frame, like I always say, our center of focus for the Forex Morning Mastery is the 1 hour time frame. Now, let me bring this in a little bit closer so that we can see things. Now, if you look at the 1 hour time frame here, you will see that since the beginning of this month, price has consistently found lower lows and lower highs, just like what we saw on the GBPUSD, and as a result, we have a descending trend line after connecting the series of lower highs. Now, something interesting happened during the second half of last week. We saw here that price came back into the 1,915 level. Remember, this is our key level for this week, and you know how we use our key level in this community. As long as price remains above our key level, we want to be looking out for patterns and structures that supports the idea of buying that asset. Now, we saw what happened last week. We saw this bullish momentum. I think the upper week we saw this bullish momentum, and since the beginning of this month, we saw price nosedive to the downside, bringing price back into that structure. Now we know from a technical standpoint that when price breaks out of a key structure, such as the key level at the 1,915, we expect that price will come there at some point in time to retest it hereby inciting an uptrend continuation. Now, this is where it becomes interesting. Now, this scenario here, after price action found by pressure around the 1,915, we saw the breakout of the descending trend line here. And for us, when price break out of the descending trend line, is a clear sign that the trend line may no longer have the capacity to continue to negate that bullish attempt. Now, interestingly, we saw the breakout of the descending trend line. Price got into the 1,930 on Friday, came back into the structure. We had something like a retest of the trend line before this week. We saw this interesting and strong bullish signal in the market. Now, this scenario we are seeing right now that gradually unfold on the chart is more or less supporting the idea of buying opportunities. Now, if we take it a step further to look out for patterns, we have something like a reversal pattern here in the form of a double bottom structure where the 1,930 level will be serving as the neckline of this reversal pattern. And of course, you know how we do that. We want to see price break out of the neckline to validate the potency of that reversal pattern. Now, I also did some sniffing through the market structure here to see how the market has been reacting since the beginning of the week. So this was where the week started. The week started at around the $1,916.50 level. And as you will see, since the beginning of the week, in fact, in the last, let's see how many hours that is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In the last 10 hours, price action had continued to find higher highs in this market, giving us signs that the week has started on a very strong bullish note, hereby breaking out of that 1,924 level. So one thing I'm looking out for here is a potential of price coming back to retest the structure. If I can see this, then I will look out for buying pressure around this area to join that uptrend move. But if that does not happen, it's okay. We shall be looking out for buying opportunities at the breakout retest of the 1,930 level. So this current structure is still looking very bullish, considering the fact that price still remains above that our key level at the 1,915, which at this point in time is looking like a temporary demand zone to incite the uptrend continuation. So we continue to look out for buying opportunities here. Now, there's another thing I would like us to mark out on this chart to help us guide our decisions for today, and that is our trend line. So if we connect the series of higher lows here, we have an ascending trend line to help us feel comfortable in our buy position. So for those who had bought around the 1,924 or probably anywhere around this area, you are very lucky. So, but for us who are yet to take advantage of this move, let's see if the market will come back into the structure, probably to retest it, give us some buy pressure, then we can join that uptrend move. And if it doesn't, if a breakout of the 1,930 happens, we of course want to be part of the uptrend continuation. And of course, if anything new happen, I will be giving you updates on both my TradingView and Telegram platform. Now, in as much as we're looking out for buying opportunities, remember we also want to take into consideration the potentials that the sellers also have in this market. Now, if we are going to be considering selling, well, technically we want to be seeing price action take out all the buyers, all the buy position here to give us a signal that sellers might likely be dictating the pace. And one thing I would want to see is a significant breakout of that structure to the downside to give us an opportunity to sell. But the way things are going right now, it doesn't appear price will come that close, but if it does, we want to be on standby to capitalize on that move. And in fact, if we start seeing signs even before the breakdown happens, like lower lows and lower highs, we will definitely capitalize on that move. If there are such situations on the chart, I will definitely share them with you on my TradingView and Telegram platform. And of course, during the XAUUSD live monitoring window, which will be coming up 5 to 10 minutes into the New York session today. Of course, you want to be part of that session to see how we shall be capitalizing on any trading opportunity in this market. So at this point in time, I do not have any position running. We'll still continue to monitor price action around this area. If you have any questions whatsoever as regards the current setup, feel free to let me know in the comment section. And trust me, I am here and willing to be of help in that regard. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds as usual to see if there are any questions whatsoever before moving on to the next financial asset. Sorry. I thought I was on. So I saw your comments on Buso Sierra. Thank you very much for your support and good morning to you. Trust you had a wonderful weekend. Adeni Babalola, thank you very much. You're welcome, and do watch that video to have a background knowledge of how we got the key level. So with that being said here, let's dive right into the last asset on our watch list for today. So the last financial asset on our watch list for today is going to be the USDJPY. And unfortunately, I was unable to share do a publication on the USDJPY this week. Like I told you, my schedules are becoming tighter and tighter, making me not have the time to share the 4 assets I normally share every weekend, but I try as much as possible to make sure that we do at least 3 financial assets during the Forex Morning Mastery so that we can have a wide range of opportunities to choose from when we get into the market. So because I didn't share I didn't do a publication on the USDJPY for this week, so I will be taking my time to run through the higher time frame to see how we got to this point on the 1 hour time frame, and this could be an opportunity for you to understand how we identify key levels on the chart. Now my analysis started on the daily time frame, where I did observe that price action has been on a strong bullish momentum. No, I think it's on the 4 hours time frame here. So of course this market has been on a strong bullish momentum since the beginning of the year, but I think I focused on the let's go back to the daily time frame. I think it was on the daily time frame I started. So what I did on the daily time frame was to take into consideration the nature of price action since the month of July. And since the month of July here, you will see that price action had uniformly and consistently found higher highs and higher lows in this market. And to buttress this, we have a couple of ascending trend line, as you will see, after connecting the series of higher lows, giving us a beautiful trend line to work with. And of course, you know how we use our ascending trend lines in this community. As long as price remains above the ascending trend line, we shall continue to look out for opportunities to buy the asset. Now, besides the trend line here, there's another level which I would like to call our attention to, and that is the 148.00 level. And in fact, this is the highest point price action has been in a long time. And you remember what I said about this market structure last week. I told you this market is basically driven by fundamental expectations, which in the long run dovetails to an emotional imbalance in this market. Now, remember I mentioned that during the previous year, sometime around this time last year, we saw that when price got into the zone, I think between the 145 and the 147 area, we saw that the Bank of Japan came in to intervene in this market, buying enough yen with their dollar, and as a result of that, the market crashed by this time last year. Now, going into this year, in the last couple of months now, there has been this euphoria in the market where majority are considering or anticipating the potential intervention of the Bank of Japan. And as a result of this potential, this anticipation, we begin to see some choppers in the situations around this area. So the emotions of fear is dominant in this market at this point in time. So as a result of this, majority of the buyers in this market are not comfortable with that position there. So as soon as price finds a new high, we begin to see some scenarios where selling opportunities come in, profit-taking activities comes in, which reflects on the chart as selling pressure pushing price to the downside. So we're really not comfortable around this area here. Now, the previous week, the Bank of Japan was saying that there are no likelihood to be interventions as they want the price to be driven by fundamental factors. But last week we saw a retraction in that regard, where the Bank of Japan is beginning to consider some intervention. We had what Suzuki said last week, and as a result of this, I'm not very comfortable holding on to too much buy positions in this market. Now so let's go back into the technical aspect here. Now we have a key level at the 148 level here. The reason why we have that key level there is that this is the highest point where price action has been for this year, and if price will break out of this level, then there are chances that price will continue to the upside. But if selling pressure remains below the structure, then chances are that majority will want to be doing some profit-taking activities behind the scenes, and this will reflect on the chart as selling pressure. So now, how do we capitalize on this move? Now, to do this, we want to scale down into a much more lower time frame, like the 4 hours time frame. So right now, on the 4 hours time frame, you will see this is the trend line, and look at what we have here. So I was able to identify another level at the 147.00 area, a level which has been holding by pressure throughout the in the last couple of weeks. Now you can see we have buy pressure around this area, and what has happened this week is quite interesting. We saw the breakdown. In fact, I was lucky enough to be part of this one because I was very confident that if price will break down both the ascending trend line and the 147 area, it's likely that we are going to be seeing a bearish traction. But we are not. It's not cast in stone already, so I've already moved my stop loss to entry point, where I will be looking forward to a retest of the structure to incite a downtrend continuation. So right now, price has broken out of that range where it was caught within since the beginning of this month, as you will see here. So we already have a breakdown of that range. So at this point in time, the momentum has shifted towards a bearish momentum. And interestingly, the breakdown of the 147 also shares a beautiful confluence with that ascending trend line, which further emphasizes the strength of the sellers. Now, if we scale down into the 1 hour time frame where our center of focus is going to be, this is what I was able to spot here this week. So price started the week around the 1,924. We saw this huge engulfing bearish candle bringing price to the downside. So for those who had missed out on this opportunity, you might want to remain patient here. Let's wait for price to come back into either of the structure. So we have the sorry this is not correct here, so I would have to, so this is 146.680. Let me readjust this one. 146.680 level. So we want to see price come into either of these structures, either the 146.680 or the 147.00 area, which of course lines up with that ascending trend line, where we shall be looking out for selling opportunities to join the downtrend continuation. So that is how we're going to be capitalizing on this move. So it's looking very bearish here. Then one thing I would like to say here is this level at the 147 area, which of course will 147.100. So price could still come into that area to retest it. So let's see what happens here. I will be giving an update. But what we want to be looking at these levels are structures and patterns that support the idea of selling. So if price comes into any of the structure, it could be the 147.400, the 147.00, or the 146.680. What we are looking out for is selling pressure, which would reflect on the chart as it could come in as a double top structure, any reversal pattern, continuous selling pressure. But most importantly is that we want to see signs that buyers are finding it difficult to break out of that level, and this would reflect on the chart as the selling pressure. Then we want to be joining the downtrend move. So that is how we are going to be capitalizing on selling opportunities on the USDJPY for today. Now, if price does not go that far and instead it continues to drop to the downside, then we have a level at the 146.00 area that we can use to add more sell position to our existing trade. So let's mark that level out. That level has been a buying niche in the last 3 hours here. So if price action goes on to break down, retest the structure, then we look out for more selling opportunities here. So these are my views here as regards selling the USDJPY. At this point in time, I'm not going to be feeling comfortable buying the structure unless a significant pattern comes in that gives us signs that buyers are gradually gaining momentum. And if that happens, of course, I will be sharing that with you on my Telegram platform as always. So these are my views here on the USDJPY. So I do hope I was comprehensive enough in explaining what my ideas are. And if you think you didn't get a particular area or you need further clarifications, please feel free to let me know in the comment section. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds as always to see if there are any questions before we draw the curtain for today. All right. So in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are all on the same page here. But if you still do, you can drop them in the comment section. So I just dropped the link to the XAUUSD live window right in the comment section right now. So you might want to click on that link and then click on the notify me button so you could get notified as soon as we come online for the XAUUSD live window. Now, for those who don't know what this is, the XAUUSD live window was born about 7 to 8 weeks ago, and this was a platform designed basically to monitor the gold spot market and see how we can take advantage of trading opportunities together here live on the Sheriff Daramola channel. So let's be part of that session, and let's make it engaging and exciting too as well by dropping comments in the comment section. So that is that on that one. And that reminds me, if you have found this content we discussed here this morning helpful in making your independent trading decisions for today's London and New York session, I would really appreciate your support by giving the video a thumbs up. Your likes are valuable to me, and in fact it also helps the algorithm promote the video to a wider audience of traders who may find this content beneficial too. Let's support this project, please. I really do appreciate your support. And if you haven't, I encourage you to follow me on this channel for more of this insightful content, as you will get notified whenever I drop content and of course commentaries like I always do. So thank you guys. I really do appreciate the time I spent with you guys. It has been a wonderful moment, and in fact, during this time we were able to take on three major assets: the GBPUSD, the XAUUSD, and of course the USDJPY. Using simple parameters such as trend lines, key levels, and chart patterns, we were able to identify simple setups that we can use to guide our trading decisions for today. So let's see how the market will play out. I will be right with you in the comment section of both my trading view and Telegram platform as we continue to monitor price action. Do have a wonderful evening, everyone, and bye bye.